John Henry. By request, John Henry will be giving an informative speech regarding the 5 love languages.
Ooh.
After a Toastmasters meeting a couple weeks ago, a few members got heavily engaged on the subject and were left wanting to explore the topic even more. That sounds torrid. Sorry, John. As a pastor, John required the book on the subject as premarital reading for any couple he married. That is true. John gave us that book because he was our pastor and married us. Well, not our pastor, really, but anyways. John will address why love languages are important, what the love languages are, and how we can discover our very own love language. His speech entitled Summertime is the best time to discover your love language. The speech is 5 to 7 minutes. Let's all welcome our very own John Henry.
I recently purchased a different truck. And that truck happens to take 2 different kinds of fuel. You can fill it up with petroleum or compressed natural gas. It's fascinating. In the same way, we can get filled up with different kinds of fuel. And each one of us has what psychiatrist Dr. Ross Campbell has coined an emotional love tank. Emotional love tank!
See it.
And psychologist Gary Chapman has written and studied on this subject of the different kinds of fuel that fill up that emotional love tank. And I want to talk to us about that today. Why is it even important, this whole love language concept? Come on, I'm doing fine, life's good. Imagine receiving bonuses at work and monetary rewards, but never hearing a stitch, a single word of praise or recognition from your boss. And something inside of you is unsettled and you're unhappy in your career, even though you're successful in getting these rewards. Imagine being in a relationship where you serve your spouse. You do all the little things. You take out the trash, mow the lawn, you do the dishes, you make the bed, and she just doesn't feel loved. You don't get it. It's very much like my truck. There are 2 CNG stations in town, one at the Top Stop and one at the Sinclair here at Silver Creek. And they're set up differently. Mine's an older truck, so it takes more pressure to fill it. And the station over here in Silver Creek will never fill my truck's CNG tank up all the way. It never will. But I can fill it with petroleum out there, and it will fill up that tank all the way. It's the same thing with love languages. If you don't know what your love language is, and someone is trying to show you love or care or interest to fill up that emotional love tank, and they're using the wrong fuel, it will never fill up your emotional love tank. It will never do it. You'll always feel empty, a little bit empty. So it's extremely important to know what love language you have. And as Kathy mentioned in my introduction, when I used to perform weddings and I did Dave and Kathy's, I said, you have to read this book before I will marry you, period. And there's just no better preparation. If you can figure out your love language in a marriage, boom! You are light years ahead of everyone else. So what are they? What are they? There's 5 of them. The first one is receiving gifts. The receiver of gifts thrives on the love, thoughtfulness, and effort behind a gift. Second one is quality time. This is my wife. Nothing says I love you like full, undivided attention. quality time. Not just time, quality time. Third one, words of affirmation. Unsolicited compliments mean the world to you. I kind of resent the fact that I'm words of affirmation. I feel really vulnerable to words, but this is my love language. Words of affirmation. People affirming you, saying kind things. Fourth one is physical touch. And we're not just talking about those torrid moments in your life. Pats on the back, shaking your hand, a hug, a light peck on the cheek. These things mean a lot to someone. I have a friend who has this, and his kids are climbing all over him, and he just feels so loved. They're just slobbering on him and climbing. He just piece of jelly. The last one is acts of service. The words he or she most wants to hear is, "Let me take care of that for you." So, which one is yours? You can approach it like, yeah, that makes me feel good, or I do that thing a lot, which could be a clue. At one time I thought I was acts of service, which is comical. It's so wrong. Because you think, well, I do that a lot, that's how I express love. But that doesn't mean you might just do that out of habit, or it was modeled to you. One of your parents will, like a dad back in the day, hey, I put a roof over your head, put food on the table. I don't have to tell you I love you. Right? Acts of service. That might be that person's love language. But what really can show us what our love language is what bothers you, what makes you upset. For example, if you're touch and someone were to push you or abuse you, unforgivable. It's incredibly destructive. Service, if you're in a relationship and the other person is lazy, they break their commitments and they don't follow through, not good. That makes you really ticked off. Gifts, if someone were to miss your birthday or anniversary, it's going to put you in a tailspin. Quality time, I know this from experience. If you're not giving your spouse your undivided attention for a chunk of time, they will feel like you are intentionally ignoring them. Lastly, words. If somebody insults you, it is really hard to let that go. It's really hard to forgive and not let that cut deep. Not knowing your love language is like not knowing what fuel to put in your meal. Not knowing your love language is like being a zombie walking around aimlessly feeling hungry all day long. So come on, people. Take the time to figure out what your love language is at the number 5 lovelanguages.com. Take the quiz today.
Let's all take a moment to write a note to John Henry with suggestions or comments of things that we